Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu alayhi ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode on the Maghrib Podcast. I really hope you've been benefiting from our week in, week out releases throughout the month of Muharram. And we are approaching very soon the 40th of Imam Hussain. And we've reached a point in time, as Shia, we should be asking ourselves, what have we really learnt from the life of Imam Hussain? What lessons can we take from Karbala, from Ashura, and how can we truly live as Hussainis, not just throughout the months of Muharram and Safar, but rather 365 days throughout the year. I can't have these conversations alone. I learned from my brother Ahmed, and we are joined by a very amazing brother who means a lot to me, and inshallah we're going to benefit and learn a lot from him on how we can, for example, use Imam Hussain to help us with tawakkul, use Imam Hussain to help us get along with life, real life struggles. And I can't have these conversations alone. And before we introduce him, inshallah, I need to introduce my amazing Hussaini brother, my mukhlis brother, my brother in service. Assalamu alaikum. You know I can't have these convos without you. I'm being very real with you.
Bro, I feel the same, man.
How you doing, Habibi? You well?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Alhamdulillah. I'm proud of everyone. I'm grateful to everyone who's been engaging, who's been commenting, who's been sharing our work, and of course, more than that, the amazing work in the community across the board. So, may Allah bless you all. We have a conversation today, like Sayyid Ali said, which is going to be really deep, powerful, thought-provoking, raw, authentic. I'm looking forward to it. And not for the first time, or for the second time, or for the third time.
We did three.
We've done three.
We've done three.
Nouri Sardar, assalamu alaikum.
Salam, how you doing? Okay.
Alhamdulillah, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Fourth time a charm.
Fourth time a charm.
Can I actually get a handshake on this one?
Fourth
Salam,
time,
Habibi. How you doing, Nouri? You well?
Good to see you, bro.
Good. Habibi.
Close
Habibi.
enough.
You know, it's always good to be in your presence. For some reason, it gives me memories of our first day of friendship back in the day.
SubhanAllah.
I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia when it comes to, especially me come back to London. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting memories.
How is Muharram in the US compared to here?
Mine's such a deep question. I think it depends where you are in the US. US is a huge place. I think we forget that. You know, whether in New York or Chicago or Dearborn or West Coast,
Alaska. Anything is different. Everything is different.
Everything's different. And you have what's interesting about America is you have these really you have these communities that are very isolated, like in Utah, for example, Arizona, other parts of the country, where they have very small but tight-knit communities. I haven't actually visited many of them. Where I am, Dearborn's like
Shia Central.
Shia Central. So it's there's so many majalis, so many.
The 313.
313.
I know about it, but Sayyid Ali probably doesn't. Why?
So the area code of Michigan, or specifically Detroit, is 313.
No way.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So some people say it's coincidence, some people say it's meant to be.
Coincidence? No. Someone's... Who knows?
Bro, that's barakah of the Imam.
I remember hearing a lecture, I think it was Hajj Hasnani Rajab Ali, who said that, we have hadith about how the sun will rise from the west toward the end of times. And he was always saying that in his perspective, or in some people's perspective, what that really means is that the mu'mineen will rise from the west.
Interesting.
i.e. the UK or the US to help Imam Mahdi in his mission.
Yeah, man, inshallah. We see the brothers, the sisters who are doing great work in the US, in Canada, and of course a lot of love for after Maghrib out there, and we love them back. And inshallah we will be back in North America at some point.
Fingers crossed.
I would love that.
Inshallah.
I'd love that. Nouri, listen, when I think of Nouri Sardar, my earliest memories of you link to Muharram, right? So obviously your work in the community, I'd say for 15 years now, has revolved, I want to say, let's say this, revolved around dhikr of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So of course, the stories of the Ahlul Bayt, specifically Imam Hussain alayhi salam, mean a lot to you. When you're in this period between Ashura and Arba'een, and of course, mashallah, you've been Arba'een nearly every year, right?
Yeah.
Since your revision.
Since my revision, since 2011.
2011.
Yeah, I only missed 2 Arba'eens.
Mashallah.
But alhamdulillah, I made it every other year.
So in that period, obviously, it's like a transitionary phase in terms of going from the heavy grief of Ashura, and then you're kind of approaching the season of collective action of arba'in. That's the way, at least I think of it. What goes through your mind when you think about what I've been through emotionally, spiritually, and what I'm approaching now?
I'm sure you guys will agree with me on this, but I think what's beautiful about Muharram is that it revives the spirit. You know, you get the spiritual revival that you feel every single year. And in my experience, you know, throughout the year, you have ups and downs when it comes to spirituality. And always in Muharram, when Muharram hits, it's like you get to that kind of peak. And I always look at it like, if you're trying to figure out what is the best version of myself, what is the best version of myself as you, Ali, as you, Ahmed, and myself, I think about what does God want from me? What does Imam Hussain want from me? And what is the pinnacle of myself? And if I was to think about it and really reflect on it, I would say the pinnacle of myself is when I'm sitting in the shrine, for example, in Muharram or Arba'in, facing the Imam, because that is when you're furthest away from sin. That is when you want to do the most for yourself and your religion. And it really kind of re-energizes you and brings you back toward that path of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Over the years, as someone who's Shia but also comes from a Sunni background, I've always tried to not juggle, but kind of like look at the different sides of myself, the cultural side of myself, and figure out how does it kind of all come together. And for me, for example, like when I go to centers for Muharram, Iraqi centers, other centers, it's always beautiful for me, but also strange because I don't fully kind of fit in because I didn't grow up around it. So I'm always asking myself, okay, what's the correct way to commemorate, or how can we explore this from a different angle? You know, how can we create a culture that is perhaps more accessible to others as well? But again, like all that thinking and reflection, when it comes down to it in Muharram, I come to the real answer, which is to be a Hussaini, to be steadfast for Imam Hussain, to be going for ziyarah, to be in a majlis of Imam Hussain. That's the closest you can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we see the hadith that says that there are many ships of salvation, but Imam Hussain is the fastest one to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Fastest and widest.
So Sayyid Ali and I, obviously we are close to off camera, we're obviously brothers, but the wider community know you for your poetry, they know you for your books, may know you for your albums back in the day, also for your podcasts. But one major thing, which I think a lot of people are learning about you in the last few years, is your filmmaking work and your incredible talent. For those of us who have worked with you in the media space, we know that you've got, mashallah, like immense level of talent and that. And you've found a niche to be able to link that craft of yours in filmmaking to the dhikr and the masa'ib of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And of course, you've released now Keys to Love.
The Key to Love.
The Key to Love.
Short film, yeah.
Which is a short film which I had the honor and privilege
of acting inside it.
Of, being a key member of the cast.
Main billing.
Check my name out in the credits. No, but what a beautiful project. And like I remember a few months ago, you sent me the script. And
you were involved at the beginning. Like, I sent you the script straight away. So what do you think?
Yeah, it was emotional, bro. It was crazy. I was putting my son to sleep one day. I was like ready to knock out. It was like 10, 11 p.m. I was finished. And Nouri, just as I was about to fall asleep.
Oh yeah, you're falling asleep. Man.
He sent me the script, and it was like 7 pages long. But I read it, and I visualized everything. And then when I saw the raw footage before it came out, I was like, subhanallah, I feel like I've seen this before, because the script was just exactly how I imagined it. And I was like, that is talent beyond talent. And you were able to show emotion in a very personal way. What was that film about, and why did you do that? You put in a lot, for those who don't know. So I'm just going to say one more thing. I saw obviously the behind the scenes. You travel the world to film it, so you filmed in different parts of the world. You put your own money and time into it. You did it off your own accord, fi sabilillah. Obviously, I feel on a personal level that the community needs to invest in these kind of things, get behind it, support it. This is how you present Imam Hussain through real life, contemporary examples, perspectives, emotions, and in a way which is engaging. Do you know what I mean? So just for those listening, when you finish this pod, if you've not seen it, watch that film. But why did you do it in the first place? So
for me, I mean, from a technical side, I'm always trying to, people know me for my poetry, as you said, which I'm very grateful for. But I'm always trying to say, I always feel like the other side of my creative brain, being the filmmaking side, is never really where I want it to be. So I've always tried to find a way where I can link those two things together, the filmmaking side and the the poetry side. The stuff that I do on the filmmaking side, a lot of the work is commercial or it's Islamic. But even the Islamic stuff, even though it might be impactful, it's still very like...
it's not you.
Not me. It's like, it's very traditional. It's like, let's do a documentary about this Ahl Bayt, this member of the Ahl Bayt, for example, very historical. Go to which is a beautiful thing. Go to the shrines and talk about their life, talking heads, that kind of stuff that we used to do for Ahl Bayt TV back in the day as well. But for me, it's like, I want to make a film. And by film, I want to make something that, you
bring something to life.
Bring something to life, but something that you can watch it on a streaming platform or in cinema and be like, that was a film.
Yeah,
high
quality. Not just high quality, but the way it moves you, the language of the storytelling, it's not very overt. It's something deeper. It's something that moves you. So that was kind of like the technical aspect of it. On the other side of it, I'm like, all of us, we spoke about this in detail on the last podcast. All of us go through very difficult things in life.
Yeah,
very difficult things. And I wanted to create something that kind of acknowledges that pain that we all go through, that we don't really want to talk about sometimes, but also do it in such a way where it gives people hope and connects it to Imam Hussain. The short of it is, when we go through difficult times, whatever it may be, it can be, the worst things, the small things, death, I think, is a very big example of this, which is why death is portrayed so much in the film. Where does it take us? If we utilize it well, it takes us back to Imam Hussain. And it's almost like Allah's telling us, your love is only for Hussain. The place where you find the mercy the most is going to be in the shade of Hussain. So that was always the kind of goal.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah, that was what I wanted to portray. And the main thing for me was like, even though I'm spelling it out now, I don't want to spell it out. I don't want it to be spelled out for you when you're watching it. I want you to watch and be like,
where's this taking me?
Yeah, and then when you finish it, let me watch that again.
Yeah.
Let me think about it this way. I want it basically to linger with you.
Yeah.
And explore this idea of longing. I think all of us have this longing inside us where we long for things. And that is really the antithesis of how mu'min should be, I think. We shouldn't long for things in this dunya. You have to have tawakkul. You have to be content with where we are. And I think that is the root cause of a lot of our issues when it comes to the trials that we face. We're continuously longing. We're longing for tomorrow. We're longing for that job. We're longing for that marriage. We're longing for whatever it is we want to long for in life. And what I wanted to talk about was portray this idea of longing and how much pain it brings us, but also how it leads us ultimately to the true mercy of Allah and the true love of Allah, which is the love of Imam Hussain, the door of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And I wanted it also to linger with you. So longing and lingering are the two key words. You finish it, it lingers with you. You think about it. It's like when you watch a very powerful film.
That stays with you.
Yeah, it's like, you can go to watch, for example, The Avengers or something in cinema. You'd be like, oh, that was a great film.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you go watch a film, it's like, oh, I'm thinking about that now.
You're right.
That was deep.
Yeah. Some films,
it kind of stays with you.
You think
Gives
about
you food for thought. And
that's the difference between entertainment and art. I want to create art, something powerful, moving.
Those kind of films, and those kind of shows have taken off because they're abstract, they're dystopian sometimes. Like the reason why Black Mirror and these kind of things linger with people is because it's thought provoking, right? Like it's like a real world but not a real world, and I know it's a different type of emotion, but obviously what you're portraying transcends the physical and the tangible.
It's a mirror to yourself.
Yeah,
it's asking you to look at yourself, who are you, and why did you feel this thing.
I have someone very close to me who lost a member of family a year ago, so this time last year.
Yeah.
And the bereavement process for them was difficult. They told me when they watched the film, they were sobbing. Before the end of the film, they were in tears because it was very personal to them, and they had their own connection to your film. So may Allah bless you. And I love the way you just, it's cyclical. Like you bring someone's personal stories back to Abu Abdullah, and it becomes personal.
I want it to be real, man. It has to be like it's not going to be, it's abstract in the way it's done, but it deals with real things, with death, with heartbreak, with abusive relationships. It's like this really happens in our lives. It really happens in the people that we're in the circles that we're with. And it's like, no, this happens to you, but don't forget where it takes you. It takes you to, you know what I'm saying? There's a line in the poem, in the film, which says that, when you learn how to truly love, you never know who's listening. And that's when it cuts straight to Imam Hussain. Because like all these trials that you go through, they're just there to kind of break you down and break you and break you and break you, make your heart soft. But the decision you have to make when your heart is soft, when you're in that position where, for example, you face death, or for example, you face something else which is very difficult, it's like you can like go off the wall and say, screw this, I reject everything, I can't handle this, or you can be like, you know what, my heart is soft, I am now going to give my heart to Allah and give Allah whatever He wants. And the point I'm trying to make is that that's when Imam Hussain starts to listen to you. and he's there for you. And that's what I wanted the film to portray. And hopefully, I know the person you're talking about, and I hope that anyone who has been through something difficult can watch it and feel that same emotion. I think
Inshallah.
I was reading a very wonderful book by Sayyid Ali Khamenei called Tabyin, which I really recommend. And he says something really nice in the book. He says, your duty is to give people hope. That's your duty. Because the enemy, what they're trying to do, and by the enemy you can kind of translate that into Hollywood right now and media and TV, which we're consuming, they're trying to make you hopeless.
Yeah.
You look at images, coming out of Gaza right now and everything happens in the world, you feel hopeless. That's their job. They're trying to make you hopeless. So he says, your duty is to give people hope. So for me, it's like, I want to give people hope in the most beautiful way I can. Be it through poetry or be it through filmmaking or anything else. Alhamdulillah, again, like I'm really happy that I made it. Like you said, I did it completely my own accord, because these aren't things that our community, I feel like, funds, at least, based on what I've kind of experienced myself. But I hope it can open the door to really creating things that are, professional, mainstream, like made to a mainstream standard, and moving pieces of art. Inshallah, hopefully.
Inshallah, Santom, you speak about it as if though it's the best thing you've ever created. And no doubt, I think there was a lot of passion, a lot of effort, a lot of sweat that went into this project. May Allah bless you. And I encourage everyone to watch the short film. And inshallah, I'll make sure I'll rewatch it to understand fully. Because now you're saying it from this perspective, this angle. And as you're explaining the whole work behind it, you've mentioned certain keywords. Tawakkul, softening of the hearts, mercy, love. And subhanallah, it just reminds you of, this is all from Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. Like when we talk about love, we know the hadith, Ahabba Allah man habba Hussaina. When we talk about mercy, we say, Ya rahmatallah al-wasi'a. Who is that? Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. Like everything with Abu Abdullah and God, it just goes hand in hand. And then when you bring it into your own work, it just makes it real. It brings it out. But you mentioned tawakkul, and we've had previous discussions on tawakkul before. And you mentioned, for example, how nowadays, like, society wants you to be hopeless. How does Hussein give you hope? How, like if you're facing something very difficult, and I know we've had conversations off the podcast as well, and I think you can have some great advice that you can give myself, Ahmed, and those listening. When you're, let's say, not at the lowest of your low, but when you're at a point where you don't know who to turn to, Allah is there, you can rely and have tawassul from the Ahlul Bayt. But what aids you, or what guides you, where you can say, what, I do my best and I leave to God the rest? How do I achieve that mindset?
I think trying to get closer to Imam Hussain is very important. And I've been asking myself recently, how can I get closer to Imam Hussain? And we can do that through doing ziyarah and dedicating our time to Imam Hussain, but also reading about him. There's a wonderful book which I brought with me, which I highly recommend, which is called From Medina to Karbala in the Words of Imam Hussain. Amazing book. This book,
author?
The author is Ayatollah Muhammad Sadiq Najmi. This book is like, I can't recommend it enough. It's so phenomenal.
Can I see it?
Yeah. It basically does something very simple, which is it collects all the sayings and sermons of Imam Hussain from Medina to Karbala.
Wow.
So I was like, I had this book in my library for ages. Let me just sit down and read it, because I have to know this person I love so much. And what's so amazing about it is it really gets you into who Imam Hussain was as a person.
His mentality,
how he thought, how he was thinking, and what he was saying as things were going on. And the one thing that really got to me, or the one thing that really stuck with me, was his tawakkul. He's consistently talking about tawakkul, talking about whatever Allah wants will happen. We trust Allah. Don't be too attached to this world. Continuously, again. And you think, for example, you mentioned that what can we take from trials, and how do we overcome trials? Learn from Imam Hussain himself. He's going through the worst thing in his lifetime, one of the worst things that ever happened in the history of the world, and he keeps saying the solution is tawakkul. I trust Allah.
I feel like sometimes we don't really understand who he is as a man. And I don't want to sound degrading or disrespectful in any regards.
No, it's true, because we sanctify him, which is important.
Of course,
through poetry and everything else. But we forget that he was a walking, breathing. But we don't think too much about that.
Part of his tragedy is we may think of the Imam alayhi salam as the figurehead of all the tragedies that happen around him. Of course, he was the pinnacle of all the tragedies. The tragedy of Abbas, tragedy of Zainab, all of the companions and the family members who were butchered, and it all comes back to him, the Imam on the earth, the one who's the Hujjatullah fil ard. But he himself, his reasoning, his rationale, his ambition, what he set out to do, how he felt the best way to achieve it was, and whether he felt that was being achieved, that is ma'rifah of the Imam. So to know your Imam and to not die a death of ignorance is to know why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And kulluna Muhammad, the Imam of your time, will have that same mentality. Now, obviously, there's a whole argument here, a kind of a philosophical argument of whether the Imams do things differently, why they do it, this, that, some rise, some subdue themselves slightly. That is, as we've talked about off camera, quietism versus activism, different, right? So some Imams rose and fought, some didn't. Obviously, the idea being is that each Imam did what the right thing was to do at the time.
Yeah.
And had any other Imam been in Imam Hussein's position, they would have done the same things. Alayhi. But what we know is the Imam of our time will have the same level of tawakkul that Abu Abdullah had. And that tawakkul is what we try and emulate in terms of the way we see it ourselves.
Yeah, speaking about that tawakkul, I just want to quote something from the book. It's from...
It's full of gems, by the way.
Yeah, it's like...
I've highlighted some stuff.
Like, look how much Abu Abdullah relies to God, the way he converses in his supplications. He says, "O Lord, I am patient with your will. There is no deity other than you, O helper of those who seek help. To me there is no Lord except you, and no one deserves to be worshipped except you. I am patient with your decision." Like, look at these...
And he's saying it in the worst of times.
Yeah.
Imagine your lowest point.
Yeah.
All of us had low points. Imagine your lowest point. I can imagine mine right now.
Yeah.
Imagine what you were saying to Allah in that moment. Let's be honest. A lot of us be like, "Ya Allah," even though we might not say it out loud to other people, in our du'as, "Ya Allah, why? Please help me out." Like, Imam Hussain saying, I'm patient. Yeah. I'm patient with what you're giving me. I accept. If you remember the last podcast that we did, what I spoke about was, one of the things I mentioned was like, how can we get to a place where we're not just okay, we don't just have this logical, we're okay with what's happening, but we're embracing it, and we're kind of almost joyous that it's happening to us, whatever it is, And I think Imam Hussain himself is a perfect example of that. It's like, even at the lowest point, you turn to Allah and say, you know better than me.
SubhanAllah,
you know better than me.
Speaking about this being in this lowest point, it's a'udhu billah for me to say this, but I genuinely believe Imam Hussain, when he held, Ali al-Asghar in his hands, to any father, let alone say Imam Hussain, any father, that is a point where, bro, your heart,
you're finished.
You're finished. Yeah, what does he say? He says, "Rabbi khudh hatta tarda." If this pleases you, God, take it. Yeah. By all means, if this is what you want from me, I'll be patient with this.
Don't forget what they said. What they said about him. They said, "We've never seen a man so composed, seeing his family being butchered in front of him." Yeah, and I think for us, like that's something. It's something we hear about, we cry about, but it's also something we need to kind of learn from
and implement.
Always being calm and composed no matter what's happening.
Do you know what? Because we hear that a lot. We hear every single year, but there's one thing hearing it and then another thing applying it. And I feel like everyone who hears this podcast, they're like, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. Like they feel this hype. Just take it a step at a time. Just apply it to something. Because let me tell you from the way I see it, okay? Over the course of history, millions of people have learned from the story of Imam Hussain, alayhi salam. How many millions of people have become who they are as a result of him, of his story, his sacrifice, everything he gave, from something as simple as just an act of kindness, even if it's one act of kindness, up to those who have given their lives for Allah and who have committed entirely their souls to the deen of Allah. Even, for example, something that they see in Karbala, they can apply it, because there's a difference between, like we talked a few weeks ago in the podcast about goodness and godliness.
Yes.
Right? So acts of kindness being a good thing, but godliness being something else. For example, the small change of mindset and thought process when you see someone starving on the street, you see an orphan, someone in need, someone without access to clean water, and then they remember Imam Hussain, who was approached by Hur and his army, 2,000 horses and soldiers, who gave them water, and he said, "I'll give you water. You wouldn't do the same for me, but I'll do it for you." And something like that shows that if this guy could do that, and he did it for a reason, that reason being his Lord, his Creator. You remember these things. Allah has, obviously we don't want to get aqaidi, but Allah has different elements of his tawheed and his oneness. You have his jalal, you have his jamal, you have all of these different levels, the essences, the dhat, the sifat, all of these different essences of his tawheed. But something that Allah does, there's things about Allah which are ever present in his essence, right? For example, Allah being all powerful, Allah being all merciful. These are inherent qualities, essences of Allah. Then there's things which are circumstantial, I should say. For example, Allah being the creator. He can create or not, it's up to him. You know what I mean? Allah being Al-Razaq, you know, Ash-Shafi. All of these things are circumstantial. And what you realize is when the Imam, in different stages throughout the saga of Karbala, when he talks about Allah, and even in the quote you just read, by the way, I was thinking of it on a level which is a bit deeper. So, for example, when he talks about Allah's power, he does that intentionally. When he talks about Allah's the protection that Allah gives him, he does that intentionally. It's because he knows his creator. So talking about Imam Hussain is great, his tawakkul, great, but he knew his Lord. So he knew the essence of Allah. He knew the attributes of Allah. What's the point? Like, if you don't know your creator, how are you going to know how to trust your creator? You don't know him. Do you see what I mean? So I think a big part of it for us, at least as Hussainis, as we aim to and aspire to be called, is to develop a knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, who he is and the attributes of Allah. He is one in number and one as a composite being. He's not divisible. All his qualities are there as one. Do you see what I mean? He's not sometimes this and sometimes that. But it's amazing because when we research and learn these things in Tawheed, we see that ilm in their statements. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a crazy thing that on the learning process I'm trying to go through, knowledge of God and how the Imams alayhim salam and of course Rasulullah Muhammad implemented like that knowledge in this. They didn't say these things because they sounded poetic. Do you get me?
Yeah.
It was all like
100%
reasoning.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just add to that point? You know, if we want to reach that stage, it's not hard. It just takes willpower.
Yeah.
It just takes
Discipline.
the right intention,
Discipline.
and sincerity, and discipline. Yeah, of course. But discipline, not that we make it routine. No, because we want to have ma'rifah with Allah Azza wa Jal. And for us to reach that stage where, like, why did Abu Abdullah have full certainty? Of course, he's ma'soom and everything.
Yeah.
But what was that? How did he reach that stage? And how can we aim to reach a stage like that? Is that, for example, bro, we got everything in check.
Yeah.
Our salah's on time. You know, we're not messing around. And when it comes to time to salah, and we say Abu Abdullah, he's our imam, not just on Ashura, but every single day we learn life lessons from him. Karbala, the battle happened, he was praying.
Yeah.
Salah time came, he prayed, right? Yeah. So when he treats Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as this closer to him than his jugular vein, right? How can you not rely on Allah?
100%.
You would not have doubt. You would not have doubt. Yep.
He knew God.
Oh, he had
he knew who his God was.
Man, عرف
He was
نفسه فقد
Bro, he was. I don't know the rest of it.
عرف رب.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I forgot. I thought you said something.
You quote this all the time.
Yeah, I quote all the time. People out there think this guy doesn't know anything, bro. Come on, man.
I learned it from you.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying is he knew Allah. And the thing is, the tragedy, the biggest tragedy of Karbala, in my humble opinion, is that he was just trying to enlighten people, bro. He's trying to bring back something that existed and that got distorted. You had all these like absolute dogs. I'm going to say it.
The hearts were asleep at that time.
Bro, forget even that.
Heartless. The thing is, you know what's interesting is that when you read up more and more, you begin to see more and more things that are just so simple.
Yeah,
like
common sense.
Like for example, Imam Hussain, he points to the people that are killing him. He goes, their stomachs are full of haram.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, he goes, because they eat haram, because they're not careful of their food, look what they become. So a very simple lesson: be careful of what you eat, because you don't know what you're going to become. You know, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys experience it, but sometimes, for example, not that I eat haram, but sometimes you, for example, eat something that maybe is not as halal or as tayyib as you thought. And for example, you might pray a bit later. I don't know if you guys see this. It has a direct impact on your character. Even for example, the animals that you eat, you know, for example, certain animals might be halal for you, but they have very bad characteristics.
Yes.
You know, and
there's
therefore that comes in your character.
You are what you eat.
Tell him.
Oh, yeah.
15th Sha'ban, our pod, when we mentioned this.
Oh, this was a...
Yeah, tell him.
This was like a key highlight of the episode we had with Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Qazwini. And speaking about this point of their stomachs are full with haram, you know, he took it a step further, is that their stomachs was not just food, by the way, that's filled with haram. It's
the income
Yeah,
that
the income.
they earn,
Subhanallah. Yeah.
even if the income is haram,
So the food is
might
halal.
be
Yeah.
slaughtered halal,
The point was,
but it becomes haram for them.
what was the point? They believed in La ilaha illallah. They were doing the biha. They were eating halal meat, but the income to purchase that meat was haram.
Subhanallah. Wow. Makes the food haram.
Bro, you know how mad they... And I remember I said to the Sayyid on the pod, yeah, I was like, Said, I've never thought of it like that. I thought it just meant these guys don't care. They're munching haram food. He goes, no, bro. He's like, he didn't call me bro, but he's like, there's levels to it, right?
Push things into perspective, man.
The Imam saw that.
I think the point is that we aggrandize this whole thing.
Yeah.
Of course,
Because we sanctify it. We recite poetry about it. You know, we go to Muharram. It's this big thing. But at the same time, like, we forget how simple sometimes it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's what made these people go against it. What was it that made Hor? This is what I think about a lot. Hor, what is it that makes a good guy work for bad people? It's such an interesting thing to think about, right? And that day he decided to make that switch. You know, again, like, it could be maybe the food or the income that he's receiving was different. You know, it could be something very simple that he's doing. For example, praying Salatul Layl every night or reading this dua every morning. That kind of saves you. You know, Imam Hussain himself, by the way, you know, earlier on you spoke about how each Imam did something different. We forget again, like, his I don't want to pretend to, like, I'm not a professor or a scholar. I don't want to pretend to, like, tell you exactly what the mission of Imam Hussain was about. But from my understanding, Imam Hussain, when he was written to by the people of Kufa, it was wajib for him to rise, because his people are coming and saying, we want you to come and save, to help us. So as an Imam, as a representative of Allah, it's his duty to respond, right? Secondly, Yazid, when he came into power, there's three things he wanted to do. The third escapes me. One was he wanted to marry his aunt. I don't know if this is very common knowledge. He wanted to marry his aunt. And the second thing was he wanted to make alcohol halal, or he consumed alcohol.
Yeah.
These two things, if the caliph does it, it basically is zawaj al-muharram. So basically you marry people that are not meant for you. One, that creates a lot of issues when it comes to kids and generations. Number two, alcohol. If alcohol becomes halal, that also destroys society, right? So his rise, based on those, and there was there was a third thing that I forget, but basically it was about the society at large. When we say Imam Hussain stood up for justice and stood up for reform, it was basically, my understanding, that society was about to be corrupted, Islam was about to be destroyed, because the caliph of the time
was at the peak of his corruption.
Right. He was logistically actually destroying it through these very practical ways, right? So as a result, he had to rise up, you know? And the other thing was, it's like, we think about tawakkul and we think about what we're meant to do. I think when it comes to tawakkul, looking at the stance of Imam Hussain, again, it's very simple. Something happens, he reacts in the right way. People write to him, he has to react in the right way. A caliph rises up, does a few things, he has to react in the right way. We are basically the pawns in Allah's, don't want to say game, but in Allah's story.
Decree,
right? Yeah, in his decree. That's all we are meant to do, right? So even when it comes to, like, tawakkul, I think about this a lot. I think a lot of our issues, and I speak of myself as well, a lot of our worries, a lot of our sorrows are because we do not fully, deep down, taste and appreciate tawakkul as we should. You know, we're worried about tomorrow, the day after, next week, a year from now, 5 years, 10 years. Bro, who said we're going to be alive tomorrow? Who said?
Yeah.
We don't know if we're going to be alive tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? All we have to focus on is today. You know, obviously plan for tomorrow. But, you know, God forbid any of us right now could die tomorrow. So when you think about life like that, how can I now live my day and work my day in the best way possible? You know, I don't know if I'm going to die tomorrow. If I knew I was going to die tomorrow, what would I do differently? How much ibadah would I do? You know, what kind of work would I do? How would I treat people around me? Right? And then if you make it till tomorrow, you carry on and do it again. Yeah. Right? I really believe, you know how we have that saying, you have one hand on the wheel, you know, and you kind of, like, you know, tie your camel kind of thing. Yeah. I really believe that it's closer to us having less control than we like to admit. Yeah. You know, Allah is in charge of everything. All we need to do is just try our best. I'm saying in a podcast, I'm going to try my best to give you some sort of valuable information that I can. Yeah. Right? Now, anything else outside this room, it's not in my hands. Control. Yeah. You know, I don't know what's going to happen when I step outside that door. You know, I also think about this a lot. What we can control really is ourselves.
It's the present.
And our homes. So think about this as a kind of metaphor, right? Your home, to a certain extent, you can control. You can control, you know, what's inside it. You can control how it looks. You can control how you set it up. You can control how comfortable you are inside, your family. The second you step outside the door, it's the wild, wild west.
Of course.
You know what's going to happen? You know, it might be the best day, might be the worst day. You might be the best person, you might be the worst person, and you have to deal with it accordingly. Essentially, think about that as a metaphor for tawakkul. Yeah. You know, and trying to basically do the best with what you have. And again, I really think a lot of our worries stem from that idea that we just want to be in control continuously. And Imam Hussain teaches us that you have to let go.
You know, I've realized.
We talk about letting go so much.
Yeah.
Let go of control. Let go. It's not up to you. You want that thing. Who knows if you're going to get it? You want that thing next week? Who says you're going to be alive next week?
Yeah.
So forget it. It's not in your hands.
You know?
And I think. Sorry, that's the very last thing. I think again, the reason I'm so passionate about speaking about this is because last time I was on this podcast, I spoke about getting to that point where you are content with everything. You know. And I think the mistake I was making was thinking that I have to worry about being pleased with it or being joyous about it. It's not about that. It's just about controlling what you can.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, this is beautifully said. And my mind just ignited when you said let go, because I have been in so much situations myself where I'm trying to make things go a certain way.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to be at work, be at home, be with family, even be with khidmah, so everything, every aspect of my life. I'm trying to make it go a certain way. Bro, it just doesn't. The moment you leave it and say, Allah, God, this in your hands.
100%.
Whether it happens or not,
100%.
always, I would say,
100%.
99% of the time, it goes the way you want it to go.
You know what?
Because you left it to Allah.
I struggle with that a lot.
You left it to Allah.
Listen, I'm going to speak on behalf of people who are listening. Yeah?
Okay.
Bro, I struggle with that, man. Struggle with that. Everyone struggles
No,
with
we all do. That's the point.
Bro, I feel I'm thinking of things happening in my life right now. Things on my phone, things in my work, things in my home, things with my friends, things with my family, everything. I'm like, it stresses me out thinking about it. I'm sure there's people, I'm the kind of guy, I compartmentalize. So
I'm the same.
if I'm in work mode, I'm thinking about work, I cannot think about after Maghrib.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
If I'm at podcast, I cannot.
Whole day at work thinking about after Maghrib.
Bro, subhanallah. No, but you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if I'm in a place mentally and then I get like a phone call saying this bill is due on this day.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, I've been there, bro.
Bro, it's
We've all been there.
Leave me alone. I don't want to think about that. And what it comes down to is like what you said, about trying to make things go the right way. If, for example, a member of your family, like something bad happens to them, you want to do all you can, your level best, to resolve it. Anything bad, anything. Bro, sometimes you do your best. Sometimes you submit. You just have to submit. That's the struggle I have.
That's the word.
The submission, the submission is, for me, on a personal level, the hardest thing.
You know, it is like
hardest
the
thing.
thing is like I've been there, and what I would say, what I would recommend to you, because it's really helped me. Like I've really worked a lot on myself to try and be in a better place, and for me, it's just like all you need to do is take one step forward. It's a very easy, simple example. The film, right? I wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it. I tried to get funding for it. I couldn't. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. But I was like, let me just start.
Who cares?
Let me just start.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if I live tomorrow. Let me just book the first filming, write the script, book the first filming, book the second filming, and things were falling into place. Again, it's like, but for me, it's like if the door closes, if I had to call 10 people for the film, for example, and none of them answer, for me, it's like, okay, you know what? It's not meant to be.
Let me ask you a question.
And it's okay. It's okay because that idea stays there. Maybe in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, you'll do. I've had this idea for like 5 years or so. But again, I know it's a very simple example, but the point I'm trying to make is that, again, all you need to do is think about the day ahead of you. Every day, I heard this from Mustafa Qazi. I think he said it on your podcast actually. No, maybe on Rasul's podcast or someone's
Shout
podcast. I don't know who it was.
Behind the member.
He says every day when you wake up, recite the verse of Quran, فَأَفَوَّضْ أَمْرِ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I can hear that in his voice.
Yeah. In that fatherly voice.
Say
Yeah,
that.
it's like I wake up, I leave all matters to Allah. I don't know what's going to happen today. I'm just going to try and have my schedule, I have my workload, or today is a chill day, or whatever it is. Even for like this trip, for example, I've got a plan for tomorrow. Friday, I've got a plan. Will I be alive tomorrow? I don't know. But I'm going to wake up and just kind of see where it takes me. And not worry too much about it. Leave my matters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, so
and
is this a dangerous mentality? Because there's going to be people who are home thinking, it sounds all flowery, but it's naive. So, for example, you're thinking about these things, and there's a difference between being naive and being zahid and being all of these different qualities.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. Right? So there's the guys who are just like, I'll take what God gives me. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I know obviously what you mean.
You know what the key word here is for me that kind of got me to this place that might answer your point is resistance. Meaning that we resist too much. So resistance, what I realize goes both ways.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, you really want a job, for example. This is a very poor example. Let's say you really, really want a job. You really want that job. You want it badly. You know you'll be good at it. You don't get the job, right? Resistance comes in very different ways. You can be like, you know what? I accept. I'm not taking the job. I accept. I submit to the will of Allah. The job's not coming to me. It's not going to happen, right? But then when you leave your house, whenever you've got to drive past that same place of business, you take a different street, you know? You don't want to think about, when someone texts you about the work, you don't want to think about that business name again. The issue now is that you're not just resisting the fact that, you know, you're accepting that you didn't get it, but you're resisting the fact that you might get it later.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So resistance can be both ways. It's not just that you're meant to accept what Allah has given you, but also don't resist what Allah can give you.
Yeah.
I think that's, and again, the film, for me, the reason I call it The Key to Love is about getting to that place of softened hearts and true love. Because true love isn't about resistance. It's about acceptance, but also being open to whatever comes.
Yeah.
You know, I know someone, I don't know if I can mention this. I know of someone, they went through a really, really difficult time in a certain country where they saw their whole family get killed.
Allahu Akbar.
And they basically said that after that, they are no longer going to be open to love. They're not going to get too attached basically to things, too attached to future, you know, family, wife, kids, whatever it is, right? And again, it's like, there's a whole story there which I don't want to get into, but the reason I mention that is because, you know, you can go through something very difficult and you have that trauma, which is now pushing you away from any future blessings and pushing you away from being with people that you actually love and that are actually with you. You know, let's say, for example, a friend backstabs you, say, you know, really badly. And then as a result, you kind of cut off Ahmed, for example. You know, you don't want to get too close to him anymore because you're traumatized, right?
Yeah.
What you need to do,
That's resistance.
exactly. What you need to do is be like, you know what? That friend cut me off, but Allah's given me a friend in Ahmed.
Can you go back to
Allah.
your friend who lost his family?
It's someone that I know. It's not like a friend, yeah.
But okay, someone that you
But
know.
but
Of.
point
What do you do in that situation?
well, it's just a really messed up situation.
Because
It's
how
not
can
easy.
you? How can you?
It
anyone
bro,
would
it
resist to love again.
takes a lot of hard work, man. It takes a lot of hard work to get there. And you know, it's interesting you say that because one thing I've been doing over the past year is that whenever I meet someone who's a very content person, I'm sure you know people in the community that you meet. You know, people that they're so content.
Happy, yeah.
Not
just
flowery.
go
It's
with
the kind of wrong word.
Yeah, just go.
Just so man, very nice.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, just very calm, soft spoken. And
No drama.
I always ask them, like I always make a point. Hey, how did you become like this? Because I want to become like that too.
Yeah.
The answers I receive are so interesting. One guy, for example, I was with him in Ziyarah in Ramadan. He was a kind of big guy, but he was very, very calm. I was like, bro, just what is it that made you so calm? Like, I want to become calm too because I'm a bit like wound up all the time. As you know.
No comment.
He bowed his head and he's like, bro, you know, until that it was like, let's say it was a Thursday, until Monday before I came here, I was always very, very angry. I was always angry and wound up. But the second I came here, I decided to change.
Allah.
Another guy I know, again, same like, I met him in Iraq and he was so happy and flowery to the extent that I was kind of making fun of him. I was like, saying that kind of stuff, right? I found out afterwards that just literally 2 months ago, he was in a really bad car crash and his sister died.
La ilaha illallah.
Right? Point being, you don't see what it takes to get to these points, right? And when I mention this story, by the way, again, I don't know the guy personally, and I'm not going to pretend to do anything different in that situation. That's a mess up situation, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that when you go through difficult challenges in life, you have the option of closing off, or you have the option of opening your heart and really giving it to God. And it's not easy.
You know
And
what?
it can be a very small thing. You might be a good guy. You might still be praying, fasting, you know, trustable. People still like you. But maybe even deep down inside, you're still resisting.
Yeah.
You know, you're still like, you still don't trust people or whatever it is. Or basically, you're not open to the blessings and mercy of Allah. And that's not what Imam Hussain did, because you saw even on the day of Ashura, when Hor came to him, the man who cut off everything from him, who oppressed his... Like, imagine someone, for example, you know, shouts at your wife. This guy literally cut off water from his family, wife, and kids. Right?
Yeah.
And he came to him saying, I want to forgive you. Any of us would be like, you know what, I'm sorry, bro, but no. Imam Hussain said, I forgive you and you're with us. You're with us now. And he's buried in Karbala. Next to him is one of the companions of Imam Hussain. Right? That's what we have to kind of get to. And that's what we got to take from the lesson of Imam Hussain.
Yeah, you know, saying all of these points, you know, and, you know, being Muharram and soon we're approaching the Arba'een, we remember the footsteps Lady Zainab alayhi salam took, right? When people reach that stage, or for example, they become calm, or they change, or they just leave everything, asallam amri ila Allah, and things like this. It reminds you of Sayyidah Zainab.
100%.
All that tragedy that she saw,
Yeah.
she says, Ma ra'ayta illa Jamila, like, for you to say something like that, I think of it, Ahmed Nouri, think of it. Like, there's contentment, there's tawakkul, there's, I leave everything in the house, in the hands of God. Whatever happens, I accept. Like, it's not just one thing that leads you to say those words. It's like, you have to check box 10 things. And to reach that stage, it's I think you mentioned that word.
Submission.
Submission. And that's what Islam is about. Yeah. Islam is taslim. It means you submit.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean Islam is a peaceful,
you know what
peaceful religion, right?
That's what it is, yeah.
It's just, that's it, bro.
That's it, yeah. Do you know what? Hold on. You know what?
I'm saying,
all we can say is that's it, but that's what it is. That's it.
Yeah,
submission is that's it.
That simple.
That's all it is. But listen, you know when you grow up, yeah, when you hear the word submission.
People see it negatively, by the way.
Right, because there's connotations of coercion, of all. Hold on.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're home, you're clocking that.
If you're watching until now, after Maghrib.com, make sure you become a partner, buy our merch, carry on.
Subscribe. So we're on the mission to 8 billion subscribers.
8 million.
8 billion.
8 billion.
Yeah,
worldwide.
Anyway, inshallah, we're nearly there. So, by the way, I want to shout out my good friend Nico Milana. He gave us some good tips, so inshallah we're implementing those as well.
Who? I'm so confused.
Private
joke.
Anyway, where was I? Submission. So submission, we always have connotations in our mind of coercion or forceful submission, because submission across human history has always meant like, I'm going to make you submit to something, which makes it sound like it's a reluctant choice. Or reluctant action,
or you're forced.
Islam, bro, submission is voluntary. It's willfully. It's something you're doing because you want to do it. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's like a very hard place to get to as a human being. Very hard place to. Because we're not wired like that or conditioned like that in society. We're not. There's nothing voluntarily that you will submit to in this life other than the things that are intangible and are transcendental. Like love. So you'll submit to anything. Why do people say I'll take a bullet for someone? Think of your kids, mashallah, may Allah protect them. But all of our children, young children, bro, all our kids are under 10 years old. Children are pure, they're innocent, beautiful souls. We would do anything for them. We would. They are what we love more than ourselves. We're grown men. We've been around for 3 decades each. But the point being is now we're at a stage where these tiny human beings would give ourselves for their protection, for their future, for their potential,
their peace, their comfort, their safety.
That is submission to love for them. But that is nothing compared to submission to love for Allah. Do you see what I'm saying? And the pinnacle example, the prime example of that
is what Imam Hussain did. Like when it comes to like understanding who Imam Hussain was and specifically who his companions were, whose companions were and are, I guess. Sometimes I think about certain people. You know what I'm speaking about. When you go to Karbala and Najaf, different types of people live there. Good, bad, liberal, conservative. It's a very diverse society. But there's this, when you find mu'mineen in these cities, there's a kind of, people have qana'a, but they're very, and they've got great energy, but they're also like, they've got a bit of grit to them. Like you can't mess around with them. You don't only say the wrong thing to them because they'll eat you alive.
But they're grounded.
But they're very grounded in themselves. They're men. They control themselves. They're very they're very loving. They're very generous. And I think to myself, like a mu'min who lives there, there's no way that you do ziyarah every single day or every other day, and Imam Hussain himself doesn't kind of rub off on you. His energy doesn't kind of you don't become like him. You know. So sometimes I think about when you look at these people and you can imagine people in your minds like real mu'mineen, real selfless people who are beyond us. But practical, physical people you can say salam to and say how are you, all that stuff. I really feel like that is how Imam Hussein's companions were, or that is how Imam Hussain himself was. A very grounded person, a very a man who of immense tawakkul, but at the same time he can fight if he needs to. And I think what that kind of shows us is that is how you have to become as a person. That's a practical example of what you can work towards, even in Gaza right now. If put aside Karbala and Najaf, how many videos have you seen coming out of Gaza of a guy whose house just got bombed and his kids just got killed or worse, and he's like, Alhamdulillah,
Hasbuna.
Hasbunallah wa
wa ni'mal
wakeel.
wakeel.
We don't complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, what does it take to get there? You know, and that is really what we have to strive to kind of become in every single way that we can.
100%.
And like you said, it's about getting to know Allah, getting to know Imam Hussain. You know, even practically, for example, like we have so many du'as that we should really dedicate our time to.
Of course.
You know, I started reciting Yustashir based off your podcast. I think you mentioned it in one of your podcasts.
This is Ahmed's recommendation.
Yeah, every week. Bro, not that I do it every day.
Bro.
Try reciting it every day.
Every day.
Bro, every morning, oh
It
my,
is-
the
it is
things you
game-changing.
see in life, it's like things just kind of fall into place. It's crazy.
Bro, the biggest
crazy.
I need to get back to that, but the biggest spiritual turnaround in my life was when I was listening
Bro,
to
since that's because I read Imam Ali's hadith where he says the Prophet told me to recite it every morning and night.
Yeah.
So once I started doing it almost every day,
changed everything.
it's not that it changes things, it's that things just start to fall into place.
Do you see
In a very
things
strange-
differently?
Yes.
Does it give you clarity
Yes.
on life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
100%.
Even if in real terms things don't change, they do change to you.
They change internally.
Yeah,
They change internally.
They change internally.
It's like you know, when you wear a pair of sunglasses, your vision changes,
100%.
right? It's perspective, right? You can see things, but the vision is different.
Aside from that, Dua Majir. Dua Majir. The reason I recommend Dua Majir is that sometimes we forget that a lot of the issues that we go in life, a lot of trials that we go through life, are from our own sins. You know, it is said, I don't want to misquote anything, but it's said that a lot of what we go through, especially as Shia, I think maybe people generally, is because of our own deeds. So, for example, they say that I read a hadith or I heard a hadith in a lecture that the reason Yusuf was taken from Yaqub is because he didn't commit a sin, but because he didn't share his food properly or something like that. So after Yaqub was taken, he made sure that there was an announcer every day saying who wants to come eat with us, basically showing you that everything that we go through, all the difficulties we go through, are because of our misdeeds and our sins. Which means that, you know, if you're depressed out there, anyone's listening who's depressed or got anxiety, a lot of us are. Sometimes you have to be steadfast in istighfar, because we're being punished, you know, for the sins that we've committed. And Dua Majir is a way to alleviate that. Dua Mashlul,
even very cleansing.
Mashlul,
Very
even
cleansing.
Joshin Kabir, by the way, you
Beautiful.
can sit by yourself and finish it in half an hour.
Do you know what? Each
but-
dua have like a special feeling for you.
100%. But like if you implement it into your life, like generally do it alongside reciting Quran, you know, we hear these things again. We hear that the Imam spent hours on the prayer mat, you know, praying to Allah. We hear it, we think, oh, that's very nice, that's very cute. One day I'll become like that, you know. But it's not just that you're using it to worship Allah. It has an immense benefit on you as a person.
Yeah.
You know, you want to break that ego. You want to get to a point of tawakkul. You know, these are the tools that you can use to do that. And the proof of that is that Imam Hussain, up until his last moment, was continuously supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
Continuously reciting things that we can recite right now. You know, continuously saying, oh Allah, I trust you. You know, always turning his hands to Allah and reciting. He spent the last night of his life before Ashura doing what? In A'mal.
Yeah.
He specifically requested that time so he can spend that time, all of them, reciting Quran. And they say, you know, for example, they say the camp of Imam Hussain sounded like the buzzing of bees.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to go to, this is the best night of my life, hands down. Laylatul Qadr in the shrine of Imam Hussain. 23rd of Ramadan in the shrine of Imam Hussain. I went there and I saw the shrine was packed like this, just of people who are sitting down with their Qur'ans and their Fatah Janans, just reciting dua, just doing salah. And it sounded literally like the buzzing of bees, and it reminded me of the eve of Ashura when the companions were sat there and you know and basically giving their lives to Imam Hussain.
Yeah.
Meaning that any of us really, if we work on ourselves and we become like that, any of the people who are inside that shrine,
It's a beautiful
excluding
analogy.
myself,
Yeah.
can become of the Ansar of Imam Hussain,
Beautiful
can be of the
analogy.
companions of Imam Hussain. You know, these are again practical ways where we can use Imam Hussain to get to a point of tawakkul.
So
And I want to be very cautious here. I don't want to say happiness, because I don't think there's a way we can ever be 100% happy. Life is 2 days, as Mu'ali says. 1 day is for you, 1 day is against you.
Yeah.
Today I'm in a good mood, tomorrow I'll be upset.
Was
Day
being
after I'll be
happy with the decree of Allah.
no,
Being
right?
content.
yeah.
Being content.
Yeah.
True happiness isn't
Okay.
happiness. True happiness comes from contentment. Because let's say you really want something, I don't know, it's a stupid example, a phone or a car.
Yeah.
You get it, you're happy for a day,
Yeah, it's
a week,
superficial.
a month.
Doesn't last.
material. It's
You want
garbage.
marriage, you
Based
get
on
it,
mood,
Of course.
give it
based
some
on-
time. You know, you want kids, you get it. When your son's 20 years old and you know,
drives you
it's difficult
crazy.
to deal with, you kind of forget what you were praying for before.
Yeah.
Happiness is an impossible thing to chase, but
You
contentment,
know what?
you
The
can get
dua
right now.
for contentment should be a primary dua, because you don't know really what you want, but you know that you want to be in a place where you're grateful for what you've got.
But you don't have to, this is the point I was trying to make, is that you don't have to worry about what you want. You don't have to worry too
Exactly,
much
yeah.
about what you're going to get. You don't have to worry too much about where you're going to be.
And I think
You know?
the more you get to that stage, the more your dua changes. Because what you want becomes immaterial.
Yeah.
You start to pray for things that are immaterial.
Yeah.
You don't pray for things
Because
that
Allah
are
knows what's
physical
best for
or
you.
tangible.
He knows how you're going to be most comfortable in your life.
Yeah, of course.
You know, be at home or what job you get or where you live in the world.
Can I ask something to both of you? You know, speaking about being content, and you giving examples of iPhone and things like this. I'm not saying this is what we pray for, but generically, like if I can be honest here, majority of my prayers, if I pray, I never ask for anything specific. I say, for example, if this is good for me, I want it, give it to me. Like, is this the mindset that everyone else has, or do people
say you're just special?
No, I'm being honest. I'm being very honest. Trend. You know, subhanallah, even this causes me trouble sometimes at home, everywhere.
You know, it's so funny.
Someone says, you know what, Ali, pray for us. I'll say, if it's good for you, Allah will give it to you. They're like, no, pray, I want it.
It's so funny because I was in the shrine few months just before Ramadan, Sha'ban. I was in the shrine, and a friend of mine from Dearborn was there.
No,
Sadiq, if he's watching.
Shout out Sadiq.
Shout out Sadiq Al-Hari, my guy from Dearborn.
Become a partner.
And Jamaatek, Shirazia. One of your boys. So
Ala Rasi.
So yeah, so I have this thing where when I go to try, I ask for everything. The big and the small, everything. And then he was like, Astahi, I can't do that. I was like, why? He goes, you know, I'm not going to go to Imam Hussain asking for like, you know, small things here and there. I said, Bil'akis, it's worse. This is me saying my own mouth.
Yeah.
It's worse that you want something and you don't go to Imam Hussain. You tell yourself, I can get it myself. You want a job? You want a job? You go apply for a CV and you say, I can do this. It's almost like you're saying, I can do it without Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain Abuna.
But do you actually
Imam Hussain Abuna? Imam Hussain's our father. You know, we go to him for everything, every issue, every problem, everything we want in life. You know, anything we need. I believe, again, everyone's different. I believe you should go to the grave of Imam Hussain asking for what.
SubhanAllah, it's not just du'as and hajat, and
speak to him.
A wasila for us. It's even in your like, wherever you find yourself. For me personally, if I'm feeling low, if I'm going through something that's serious, that's affecting be it my home, my mental state, whatever it is, all I need is to hear the masa'ib of Abu Abdullah, and it fixes me, bro.
Yeah,
it fixes you. You don't need anything else. Yeah, speaking about ziyarah, when you go to the shrine and you feel the serenity and the peace and the sukoon you have in the heart,
bro.
This
if I'm
is
honest,
Hussain.
I don't think what you said here. If I'm going to be honest,
no,
I don't do that.
Yeah,
as in
a lot of people don't, by the way. There's a different.
My mind's not there, bro. I'm in front of the Imam.
Because you're a pure person than me, that's why, bro.
No, not even that, bro. It's like it's not even that. If and when I ask for things, if I'm honest, I'm asking for like, this is me on a personal level.
Yeah,
I think about people, so I think about Allah, protect my family, protect my loved ones, protect this person, give them what's good for them, like you said. But for me or myself, if I like you gave the example of a job or a phone or a car or whatever it is, those things don't really cross my mind, bro. I'm coming to the plains of Karbala, bro.
Yeah,
I'm standing on soil that
just
was
to clarify.
I'm
not saying you're going there as a business transaction.
No, I get
have a list of things you're asking for.
You're saying
you're still there to worship Allah. You're saying
normalize the wasila of the Imam.
No, as in, what I'm saying is that there's different things you're doing there. Again, worshiping Allah, visiting the Imam. Ya laytana kunna ma'akum, wishing you there with him, reading ziyarah. But again, like if there's anywhere to go. Where you need to speak. No, forget. Asking for things is a very vague term.
It's the best place to ask.
No, forget asking. Put asking aside. To speak about your issues in life.
Right.
Whatever they are.
That I agree with.
Whatever they are. There's no better place to be than with your Imam. You know, and I used to think I was somewhat crazy by standing there always speaking to the grave until I hear stories about people who do this a lot. Say Murtada Khuzini, for example, I heard. He stands by the grave. He speaks for like half an hour. Just speaking to Imam Hussain. Just speaking. There's a lot of scholars that I know, say Bakr Sadr, for example, whenever he had a fatwa, he couldn't figure out the answer, he would go sit in the shrine, I think it was Najaf or Karbala, until the answer comes to him. You know, there's a lot of people that we hear from history, you know, from our community that they have issues, they need to figure things out. They'll go to the shade of the Imam, because ultimately, bro, the Imam is not dead.
Yeah.
The Imam is not dead. If he was alive and you had an issue and you needed something or you need some sort of guidance, where do you go? You go to him. Yeah. And even when you do ask for stuff, by the way, it's still with that, as I said, if it's good for me. You know what's best for me. Give me what's best. You know, help me with this.
But we should be doing that. I mean,
it's like planning your whole year under the dome of the
but I mean, obviously 15th Sha'ban, every year we do, and I don't know about Iraqi culture, if I'm honest, but in our culture, we do the Ariza thing. You know about Ariza? You write your Ariza, you write your message to the Imam of the time, and we hear on a daily talk to the Imam. Talk to the Imam. Imam al-Mahdi.
Yeah.
Talk about your problems, your issues with the Imam. He's the Imam of your time. He's
Yeah.
the living Imam, your Hujjah. Like, he's there for you, to help you, to aid you, to assist you. So I feel like that talking process should be very normalized. We did a podcast 2 years ago with Said Ali Khali. It was called Imam Mahdi is Calling. Will you pick up? Basically, it was a bit cheesy
One of Munch's
title.
titles.
Shout Munch. Cheesy titles. But no, the context being, what's your verbal relationship like with Imam al-Mahdi?
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, Kullana Muhammad, bro. You talk to Imam al-Mahdi, you talk to Imam Hussain, you talk to Rasulullah, you're talking to the Ahlul Bayt,
one of the same.
salam.
Yeah.
I have a friend who said his dad every morning he speaks to the Imam and just tells him what he's going to do in his day.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to do this.
Normalize
and and I thought it was such a beautiful thing
because
it creates that connection with the Imam.
You can lose people like the dear brother who lost his family members. May Allah bless them and their souls. Or you can either lose people, or you can lose hope in people. So either you're cut off from them, or you're betrayed by them. You will never lose your Lord. You'll never lose the ones who your Lord appointed.
Yeah.
These are things which will stay with you. They will be there for you from start to finish. And the only hope we have is that we get to the end of our lives, whenever that is, tomorrow or in 50 years' time or whatever it is. But at our last breath, we're at a much greater point than where we are now.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Allah grant us that, inshallah.
Becoming nafs al-mutma'inna, so Allah can take your soul back. That's always the goal.
Yeah.
Right? That's always the goal.
Yeah.
Get to
We
that
say, Allahumma la tukhrujna min hadihi ad-dunya hatta tarda anna.
Yeah.
These things are important. You're speaking about death right now. And we always say, we answer the call, labbaika ya Hussain, ya laytana kunna ma'akum, ruhi wa arwahuna laka al-fida. Things like, I think these are statements, if we don't just say them, we start thinking about what we're saying, it will change our perspective.
Yeah,
It will change our
facts.
life, our mindset, and not just ourselves. I think it will positively impact our families, our community, our future offspring, because it starts here. It starts in the heart, not just in the mind, and not just because wanting something. No, it's submission. It's the reliance of Allah. It's, as you said, speaking with your Imam. These are some things we can do with Imam Sahab al-Asr wa Zaman. He's our living Imam.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
As you said, 15 Sha'ban. Write a letter to your Imam.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing this?
It's just normalizing
Why-
it.
yeah.
This is the thing, because people
Who-
find it cheesy.
Yeah.
Don't find it cheesy.
This is the thing. Yeah.
We
It's-
complain
Don't find
to
it
people.
cheesy.
Yeah.
Why are you paying
But
some
don't
guy
speak-
£150 an hour to vent about your marital issues? Bro, get on the prayer mat. I'm not even joking, bro.
No, he's right.
Get on the prayer
The
mat.
thing
Talk
is,
to your
like-
Lord. Talk to your Imam. Do your ziyarah. After Salah, the best thing, may Allah bless my parents, my grandparents.
Allah protect
One of
them
the
from
best things which we were embedded in from young, ingrained in from young, even our communities. After your Salah, do your ziyarah.
Yeah.
Face the Qibla.
Yeah.
Do your ziyarah of the 40 Ma'sumin and their companions and everyone. But make that a habit, because what you're continuously giving your salam to at least 14 individuals who is wajib for them to say alaikum salam 5 times a day. Bro, it just changes your perspective on things, man.
In the beginning of the podcast, I talked about how like Muharram kind of like recenters you and
Yeah.
brings you back to
Yeah.
grounds you more. And over the years, like what I found is that not every year, but some years, many years ago, toward Muharram, I'll be like, what am I doing? Again, like just trying to find alternate ways to kind of ease myself and make myself calm, be it through like, as you said, like mental health therapy or whatever it is, or different things that our culture kind of dictates to us that we
Yeah.
should be doing
Yep.
in order to be happy or content. But really and truly, bro, our imams, again, like you said, sometimes we find it cheesy. You might not say it out loud, but we find it cheesy, hearing imams saying, for example, when that is what it is. Imam Ali in his wasiyah, he tells his children, Hassan Hussain, he says, never ever, paraphrasing, never ever say, I wish this happened. That's not like a cute phrase that you put on Twitter or Instagram. That's your imam telling you this is how you have to be. You never say, I wish this happened.
So we should take this as an instruction.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
Or Imam Ali saying, the Prophet told me to recite dua share every morning and every evening. He's saying, he told me.
That's a lesson.
That's
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
there he's saying, this is the answer, reciting a lot of dua, going for ziyarah, getting to know your imams, increasing in knowledge. These are all the things that will take us to that point of and our culture, unfortunately, the society that we live in has kind of put this thing in our heads that what we have here is just in this room. The second we go outside, we worry about work, and not that we shouldn't worry about work, but we have to be more, kind of water ourselves down in terms of our identity and our culture and our religion to be able to live in the society.
Yeah.
Because we're just Muslim by secondary nature, when in reality, deep down, our imams are told how to live, which is to become mu'mineen.
Can I just add?
Yeah.
Especially in a day and age, especially 2025, Western social media world we live in, the multimedia around us, affirmations, words of positivity,
All nonsense.
self-development,
All nonsense.
Western mentalities of leadership, and all of these.
And these Western mentalities,
this
by the way,
toxic.
have done what?
They all exclude God, by the way.
They-
They exclude
they exclude
faith
God.
and spirituality.
They exclude God sometimes,
and-
I think, intentionally, by the way.
Yeah.
But forget that. Look what's happening.
It's-
Look what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Look at who's silent on Gaza.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
are the
yeah.
same people that are trying to push toward you certain,
But
ways
you know
of
what it
thinking.
is?
And it's all nonsense because it's a facade. It's a smoke
Yeah,
screen.
it's a self-aggrandizement scheme.
Yeah.
It's selfish. It's about ego boosting.
It's there to make money.
Yeah, of course,
It's there to keep you on
make-
social media.
But it's about
to-
people
to buy
people-
stuff,
bro.
to-
You know
to
about
sell to the
words of
capitalist system.
affirmation, right?
Yeah.
Words of affirmation, and it's a thing, bro. Like there's a footballer called Miles Lewis Skelly, and for Arsenal fans or for any football fans out there, they'll know about
Yeah, I
this.
have no idea what's
footballer.
going on.
He's a kid, yeah. He's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Listen to this, yeah. 17 years old. He was nominated for best young player in the Premier League. Burst on the scene this year. He's already like world class. Like he's 17, bro. Anyway, everyone asks him, "How are you at this level at this age? You've not even finished growing in your height, and you're competing against guys in their 30s, 20s." He's like, words of affirmation. My mum taught me from young. Words of affirmation, manifestation,
Yeah.
all of these things. TikTok culture about manifestation, words of affirmation. Don't get me wrong.
There is some truth to it. by the
There
way.
is some truth. There's positivity there.
Yeah.
Because you have self-belief. You
Yeah.
have confidence. You exude confidence, right? But there's a difference there because you might believe in yourself and have self-affirmations, but you exclude your Lord, you exclude anything spiritual, and it becomes about ego.
Yeah.
It becomes, I am this, I will get this.
You'll push others
Nothing-
down to get where you are, perhaps. for
Nothing,
example, yeah.
nothing happens without the will of your Lord.
Yeah.
And if something is not meant for you, you will not get it. So you can say day in, day out, I will become a Premier League footballer. I will become the world's greatest Latmiyat reciter. Or for example, anything. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to accept it.
I mean, funnily enough, Imam Ali does say, he said, if the son of Adam has a goal and really works toward that goal, he will achieve it, or a little bit less or a little bit more. So there is, again, truth to it. But like you
Yeah.
said, there has to be some sort of...
Said Ali has a
connection
favorite
to-
saying, bro. He
Ya
says it
ibn
to me.
Adam, turidu wa arid.
What's that?
Oh, son of Adam, you want something and I want something. And I encourage the viewers to go back to an episode that we had with Sheikh Muhammad Halli, where we spent a good 10 minutes understanding this
Bro,
phenomenal
mad.
hadith that changed my life.
Hadith Qudsi.
The way I see things,
my days.
how life works. And just on your point, if I can add, Ahmed, you know, people saying I, me, I this, I that. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed with so many friends. I get to see everyone for who they are, off screen, behind screen. I'm not talking about you, I'm joking. But the friends that I have,
Traumatized.
sometimes I feel like they say, I want this, I'm working for it. I worked for it. You don't deserve this. You don't, like, they sort of, in a way, astaghfirullah, I feel like they think they're in control.
Yeah.
Or, for example, they have a certain plan, they have a certain target, they want to achieve, I don't know, they want to save £50,000, they want to earn 80k from this guy, they want a client from this guy. Bro, relax. Wallah, relax. Chill. Work for it. If it comes your way. And the reason why I say this, because I see things a bit differently when I started gardening.
Oh, but gardening changed you, by the
But
way.
because,
Yes.
not that I garden,
Me and my
don't
son
get it
are
wrong.
Even doing something very simple, yeah.
Just like every time summer comes, I fix the grass.
Yeah.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But there was a time where the grass was dying, and it was like 3 weeks, and it's spring, and I'm doing what I usually do. Not always dying, like even like things were turning black in the grass. I'm like, what on earth is going on? And I was like, you know what? I was like,
You can do it, grass.
I went online. I was like, how do I revive this grass? They gave me there were certain steps. I
So
done the
you-
steps. I waited 1 day, didn't come. 2 days didn't come. A week, 2 weeks. In the end, I was like, I give up because I was watering every day. I was like, I give up. If it comes out, that's because of you. Wallah al-azim.
Next day,
I was
bro.
like, if it comes out, it's because Allah, you made that happen. It's in your hands. Bro, the next day, the grass started popping up. I'm not saying it was because of that.
All you had to do
But
was
some-
go to the other side. The grass is greener, bro.
No, listen, bro.
Honestly.
No, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Like, you put in a lot of effort.
You know, like this whole ego thing, like I can do this, I can do
Yeah.
that. The irony
It's the
is,
moment
like,
you move I.
but the thing is, within reason, you can do that if you add Allah into it. Don't forget a lot of these
making part of the equation.
Don't forget a lot of the guys in Karbala when they stood in the battle. I am this. I am that. I'm the guy that is like you can do that with the understanding that with the Allah, because you have to believe in yourself. You do have to have that thing. I'm just winding down. I know
there's a fine line.
I'm just winding down. You know, again, like we're in a culture, and leaning back to my earlier point from that book Tabeen, where Sayyid Ali talks about hopelessness and how we live in a society of hopelessness. We are in a culture and a society that wants you to ruminate on things that happened in the past. It wants you to talk about how difficult life is, how painful life is. Everything from your TikTok feed to Instagram reels to the movies you watch are all about that. It's all about rumination. It's all about hopelessness. It's very bleak, you know?
Yeah.
Imam Ali, again, has a very simple hadith, you know? Ignore pain and grief and you'll be ever happy. Ignore pain and grief and you'll be happy. What does our culture teach us? I'm not against therapy, but I'm just saying it teaches us to speak about our problems. This life is
relive
hard. Relive it.
I think.
Let me go outside.
You're gonna get backlash for this.
No, but again, what I'm saying is within reason. Therapy is within reason. Therapy is good. You have to. You know, I'm not a mental health expert, but I'm saying our culture is continuously pushing this almost hopeless narrative.
You mean Western culture?
Western culture, right. So not our culture. Our Western culture. This hopeless kind of gothic. You know, like everything's messed. You know,
bleak and grim. Yeah.
Bleak and grim kind of lifestyle. Yeah. Where Imam Ali is teaching you the antithesis of that, which is to ignore it completely, you know, and that's not something that, again, we hear that quote, we read it. That's a very nice, cute quote. Absolutely, it's quite cheesy. We head outside right now. Me and you have a conversation. We're going to start moaning about life. You know,
that's how it goes.
Honestly, so
again, the real podcast starts after this. Yeah.
Point being, you know, my conversations with Nouri, yeah, will start like the other day. I called Nouri, yeah. And we spoke about.
So it's good he picks up your call.
I
called him randomly, and bro.
By the way, I've been trying to be nicer over the past few weeks. That's why you saw me so happy and like accepting your.
Bro, Nouri's.
You're always nice.
I'm trying to be more accepting of people calling me.
No, bro. You know the first time I ever walked into the office we used to share back in the day, 10 years ago, I walked in because I won a prize on the quiz show, Question of Deen. I was like maybe 17.
Is this Croydon or?
Nah, Afterway.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I walked in, and you knew me. We knew each other, but we didn't really know each other. You were friends close to my brother and whatnot. I was like 17, 18 at that time. So we'd like known each other, whatever. But I walked into the office. I came to collect my canvas. You know that, I forgot her name.
ABTV loves giving away canvases.
Sister Sadiqa something. Anyway,
I remember. I think so.
La ilaha illallah, the canvas, the Kaaba, whatever.
Classic ABTV prize.
Canvas, bro. I loved it. It was the first thing I ever won. It was. I still have it in my parents' house. Anyway, bro, I walked in. I saw Nouri. I was like, gonna be like, "Salam, bro." You know what he said to me? He was like, "We doing it."
Nouri told you.
Yeah, he's like, "We doing it." I was like, "Come on, bro."
Oh my days.
No, I'm joking. But Nouri's. The reason why I say this,
I've become a lot better at being nice.
Nouri's family to me, bro. He's like my brother. But you talk about like.
No, by the way, I make the worst first. If you ever met me, I make the worst first impression. Once you get to know me, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, it's not.
But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be more. You know.
No, the reason why I say this is because you mentioned about us moaning and complaining. Yeah, the other day I called Nouri, and the first like 2-3 minutes, bro, we were like emotional. We're talking about Bibi Banin, Salamullah alayha. We're talking about majalis and just all of that emotion. Bro, within 2 minutes, we're talking about why isn't the community doing this? Why are we doing that? Why aren't people? Because I think this is what it is when we're involved, and inshallah, we're all at a stage where we are involved in the khidmah to the point where we see gaps where we need to improve. Because then,
it's nice to also kind of share your burdens with a brother.
Of course,
that's also an Islamic thing. You know, and
it's very therapeutic.
And that, if anything, is not a bad thing, but it's a beautiful thing that you can be close to someone enough that you can do that with someone.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, not everyone has that.
So that's why 4 times you've been on after Maghrib.
Fourth time,
inshallah. Long may it continue.
Ya Allah.
Not if I call you tomorrow, will you pick up?
Depends what time you call me. Depends what you want. Let's come on.
I'll slap you. I'm joking. Nouri, you're amazing, brother.
Inshallah, we continue to see you again. And are you planning to go out of Arba'in this year? Inshallah, if God wills. Inshallah.
So let's see if we have tomorrow, but then think about Arba'in.
Inshallah.
If God decrees, you'll be there. This is tawakkul, mate. If Imam Hussain wants you there, you're there, bro.
Sometimes, by the way, Imam Hussain wants you somewhere else.
Ahsan. Serve somewhere else.
I remember, this is a very funny point. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast. It's a very funny point, but There was a period of my life where my favorite place in the world outside of Karbala was LA at that time.
Los Angeles,
That's the most Nouri
For the
thing.
sun, for the sun or
That's
khidmah,
the
which
most
one?
Nouri thing I've ever heard in my life.
But
My favorite place is number 1, Karbala, number 2.
But there's a very,
Hollywood.
but the thing is, there's a very funny story to this. So there was the one arba'in I couldn't make it. I couldn't leave the country, couldn't travel. But I was invited to recite where
LA.
Los Angeles.
So for me, I started laughing to myself because like Imam Hussain said, you can't come here, but I'm going to give you something else, which is
Enjoy it.
take you somewhere. But
Khidmah,
not even khidmah, but it was a beautiful program where it was like a poetry slam.
Hello.
So there was a lot of like non-Muslims there, a lot of Sunnis there as well, and there was arba'in like poetry slam. There was a really well-known poet from the Sunni community who was there, Amir Sulaiman. So I got to perform, recite alongside him. So again, it's like Imam Hussain was saying, this is where you need to be to act this khidmah basically. Everything is in Allah's hands, and sometimes Imam Hussain, I feel like his hand pushes you to where you're meant to be. So even if we have we say this all the time, if Imam Hussain invites you, you'll come to arba'in. Sometimes Imam Hussain wants you to be somewhere else. Sometimes Imam Hussain wants you to be Allah specifically, through Imam Hussain wants you to be in a certain place or doing a certain thing. I think it's very important to have that perspective.
And inshallah, you do get to go to the shrine of Imam Hussain. Yourself, myself, everyone. Inshallah.
We were there together last year.
Was the
we were together
to go? Guess the
We had some
opportunity to go.
deep chats, man.
I forget. Oh yeah, we did.
We had some deep
on
chats.
the way to I remember walking.
Yeah, it was nice. Inshallah. Listen, last question for you.
You were with me. When did you meet?
We were together. You were walking.
Yeah,
ahead.
you were walking behind us. I mean, him walking.
Yeah,
behind
we were
us.
walking. I can't remember who you were with, but we had some nice chats.
Ali Alvi, I think. No, someone. I don't know who it was.
It might have been. I don't know. Anyway, shout out Alvi. Last question for those who have not yet seen the film. Where can they find it? And for those who want to be involved in a future project, either as a sponsor or as anyone in the community who's involved in script writing or filmmaker or anything like that, or who wants to support this kind of thing, is it something you're going to be doing again?
You can watch the film on my Instagram feed or my YouTube page, Nouri Sardar. I would recommend watching on YouTube on a big TV, as big as you can,
4K,
and literally like turn off all the lights and just really experience it, because it's not meant to be a piece of entertainment or something to watch in passing. It's something you're meant to feel. So I really recommend doing that, and how you can help by just sharing it and all your circles, sharing the link with your family, friends. I want to go as far as possible. This amal, like I said, was really from myself to Imam Hussain. So the further it goes, the more I'd be grateful of that. Future projects, if you're serious about helping me fund a future project, be it a short film, a documentary, or a narrative film, these things are very costly, as you're very well aware. And I feel like it's very important that our community supports this stuff, because nothing to me is more important than storytelling. If a story isn't told, it dies when that person dies. And if it isn't told properly, either in the book or it's one thing to tell in the book, but also in a moving form of imagery. That's the best way to tell stories. And the proof of that is, again, going back to the point of hopelessness and how our culture is feeding us hopelessness is through this kind of this media industry. So it's very important that we support projects that kind of offer people hope and bring people toward the path of Ahl-Bayt. If you're serious about it, drop me an email, info@nourisardar.com, or reach out to me directly if you know me. And inshallah, we'll go from there.
And just as a reminder, you can watch on Instagram or on YouTube, and you can see yours truly as well make a nice appearance. Whatever you see in the film does not reflect me, and I don't endorse any actions.
No spoilers. Watch it first.
No spoilers, but yeah, enjoy. Nouri, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I know it's late and you guys are tired.
Always.
I'm really happy to have this platform to be able to share whatever I know.
This podcast yours, honestly.
And hopefully whatever I say, people can, hopefully it reaches the hearts of people, benefits them.
Inshallah,
and please forgive me for anything else.
I know it does.
Allah bless you, reward you, and allow you to continue progressing in the field of khidmah,
inshallah,
and filmmaking, and of course in spiritual growth.
All of us, inshallah.
We learn from you,
inshallah.
And inshallah, I learn from Ahmed as well. And whoever his heart, inshallah, is yearning to visit Karbala, please make sure you do go. And there is a special group I want to give a shout out to, which are the Shia of Australia. They go annually. They walk from Basra to Karbala. And if you are from Australia, New Zealand, wherever you are from around the world, from any Western country, join them. They want to serve the Zawar.
MashaAllah. 17 days, is it?
Yes. I believe this, if I'm not mistaken, just under 600 kilometers. They walk from Basra to Karbala, and they've been doing this every single year.
Wow.
So keep an eye, watch out, and follow
Australia is
them
a great
and
company,
meet
by
them.
the way.
Yeah.
So you'll enjoy yourself.
Inshallah. May Allah bless you. I want to end with this verse if I can. From Surah Al-Imran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فَتَوَكَّلُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. Put your trust in Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him. And we cannot live without Allah. We always rely on Him. Inshallah, we continue to rely on Him. And relying on Allah means not just relying on yourself. No, it means relying on others as well. Because sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts certain people in your life, certain organizations He makes you involved with, certain things you may find yourself, you're like, how did I get here? This is all thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we thank Him and we continue to rely on Him. Stay tuned for the next week's episode. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.